What is up, guys? It's Brian with NeverState.com, and when I ask you guys for Q&A questions, an overwhelming amount of you want to know about conditioning. So rather than cluttering up the entire Q&A with those questions, I thought I'd do an entire case for conditioning, why I think it's important for powerlifting, for strongman, for sports-specific training, and life. Conditioning can do a ton of things for you, but it's often neglected because it's not fun to do. It can up your strength numbers. It can make you last longer in a competition. So if you're doing a powerlift competition and you get to deadlift, if you're tired and you're not well conditioned, that is going to be the determining factor whether you win or lose. Also, in a strongman competition, a lot of times you have as many reps as possible, or medleys where you're carrying heavy things and doing wind sprints essentially. All of that is conditioning. The better conditioned athlete is the one who's going to win. If you're in any type of strength sport or combat sport, making weight becomes massively important, and conditioning is a way to get your body weight down and your body fat down. If you're sponsored and you do not make weight, that is pretty much the most unprofessional thing you can do at a competition. If you don't make weight, you don't get to play. Not to mention longevity and your cardiovascular system. Conditioning will build up your heart and your lungs. That is massively important. I know it may not seem important to you right now because you're probably too young to really care, but trust me, there will come a point in your life when your health is going to be the most important thing. And no matter how much money, how much success, how much fame you ever get, the one thing you can't buy more of is time. Conditioning might help with that. Now, when I'm talking about conditioning, I am talking about hard work. If you can hold a conversation while you're conditioning, you're not conditioning, you're moving. That's how people used to get from point A to point B before there were cars. So when I'm talking about conditioning, I'm talking about hard, sucking wind, hate your life kind of work. Not going for a leisurely jog with your buddy to talk about how your math test went. If you are not hating your life and wishing every second that this condition would be over, you're probably not working hard enough to get the results that you want. Now, there's nothing wrong with going for a long leisurely jog if that's what you enjoy. I think you should always do what you enjoy. It is healthy. It's a lot healthier than sitting, but it's not conditioning. It's kind of like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it's not really gonna get you anywhere. All right, so for me personally, I use conditioning in 3 different ways. The first is being a pre-workout kind of conditioning. This usually lasts 5 to 10 minutes. It's hard, it's intense, but you need to think about it like a fighter warming up backstage before he comes out for his fight. A lot of people worry that it's gonna exhaust them. They're not gonna be in as optimal of a position as they will be for their strength work, but that's just not the case. If you're smart about this part of your conditioning, it should be priming your central nervous system and your main muscle groups for the work it's about to do. Going back to fighting, when you see a boxer or an MMA guy walking out to the ring or the cage, they're already sweating, their body temperature is high, they've already blown out their first lung. I'll talk more about that in a second. But they were backstage, hitting mitts, working their footwork, they got their first sweat going, they're loose, they're primed, they are ready for the work that they're about to do. This first conditioning portion of your workout should do the exact same thing for you, except you're lifting weights, they're getting punched in the face. They're not worried that this is gonna exhaust them or hurt their performance. This actually raises their level of success. You can do the exact same thing in your workouts. If a little 5 or 10 minute conditioning that primes the muscles that are about ready to be used wears you out, that kind of shows how unconditioned you are, and you need to work on that. Now, I mentioned blowing out your first lung, and that's kind of some fighter vernacular. What that means, if you guys were gonna go out and run 2 miles as fast as possible for a PT test, let's just say for instance, your first typical half mile is your hardest because you can't regulate your breathing. Your muscles don't feel good, they're kind of waking up, your lungs don't work properly, they're not ready for the work. So, next time you have a PT test, it would behoove you to go out and run half a mile, blow out that first lung so that when you go to start your actual test, you're in an optimal position. Your warm-up prior to your workout should do the exact same thing. What this typically looks like for me is a little mini circuit consisting of movement patterns that will closely mimic what I'm about to do, and I will do them as explosively as possible. So let's say I have squats. I will do some sort of jumping, whether it be box jumps or broad jumps. I'll do probably kettlebell swings so I can get my hips hinging as well as possible and as explosively as possible. Sometimes we'll have some sort of ab movement where I am bracing the exact same way that I do on a squat. Maybe a good morning, something to hinge, something to squat, get my knees warmed up, get my hips warmed up, get my hamstrings firing. All these things are going to matter. I do this for 5 to 10 minutes to break a sweat, get my lungs going, and really get some blood moving around. And then I don't need to do 20 warm-up sets before I get to my working sets of squats. It's already there. So in reality, maybe I'm doing less to tire myself out by doing this warm-up than I would if I had to do a ton of warm-up sets on my squats. Just consider it. The second way that I like to use conditioning is with giant sets during my main strength work for the day. So for me personally, I do it with all of my strength movements and my assistance movements. Some people just like to use it for their assistance movements. So let's say bench press is my main strength movement for the day. What I like to do is take an antagonistic muscle group, put it before the main mover, and then afterwards I'll throw in a core exercise and I'll go 1A to 1B to 1C, and then I'll rest 90 seconds. So in the bench press example, since I like to do pulling motions at the same weight, in the same plane, I would throw in a barbell row for shoulder health and overall awesomeness. Let's just say I'm doing 5x5. I don't really do 5x5, but let's just say I'm doing 5x5. Keep it simple. So I would do 5 bent over rows at 300 pounds, immediately jump to the bench press, where I would do 5 bench presses at 300 pounds, and then I do some sort of ab movement. And then you don't need to do core movements at the end of the day because you already hit them. So again, I go rows to bench press to a core movement, and then I take 90 seconds rest. During that 90 seconds, what I'm doing is manipulating the weight if I need to. So if 300 for 5 on the row was too heavy, I'll drop the weight a little bit. If it was too light, I'll ramp up. A lot of times on my sets, I like to ramp up and then ramp back down. Also in that 90 seconds, I will record in my logbook what weights I use so that next week when I come back to it, I have a better idea of what I did. I'll usually get a sip of water, and by that time the 90 seconds is up and I'm right back to the top. And then with assistance, if we stick to this bench press example, I'll use a giant set again. So let's say my assistance work is the dumbbell row to a close grip bench press to a tricep extension. I would literally go A to B to C, rest 90 seconds, get back to the top. Running as many rounds as I need to for what my protocol is for the program on that day. It doesn't seem like giant sets would be that hard, but if you give them a try, you will see that you'll be sucking wind. Now, remember, everything is hard at the beginning. Riding a bike when you first started seemed like an impossible thing. Now you can ride a bike, no problem. If you can't ride a bike, lose my number. So if you throw in that conditioning prior to your workout, at the beginning it's gonna seem much tougher. Maybe your weights are gonna drop a little bit, but eventually your body will adapt and you'll get better and you'll be a more conditioned individual for it. Same exact thing with giant sets. Some people find that their weights drop a little bit because they're not taking 2 minutes rest between sets of tricep kickbacks. Come on, man. But your body will adapt, your weights will come back up, you'll become a better conditioned individual, and you'll get a lot more done in that same hour that you would have spent at the gym. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty short on time, so when I'm training, I'm not going to the gym to find out how Bobby's date went with Susie. I'm there to do work. If I can fit more work into the hour that I'm spending away from other things that I care about, I want to use it as optimally as possible. Giant sets help me do that. The third way that I like to use conditioning is with a finisher type of thing, kind of like Mortal Kombat. This usually takes me anywhere between 10 to 20 minutes to get done. And what I like to do is take a muscle group that I was working that day. So let's say on deadlifts, you have problems with your grip. Maybe you want to grab some dumbbells or some farmer implements at like a moderate weight and then pick them up and carry them as far away as you can for 10 minutes. Once your 10 minutes is up, you rest 5 minutes. Then you carry on back. Doesn't sound like much, but you will hate your life. Plus work your grip. Those are all positives. Sometimes it'll be a body weight circuit. So at the top of every minute, I might do 5 burpees, 5 push-ups, 5 squats, 20 mountain climbers, 20 jumping jacks at the top of every minute. So the faster you get it done, you get the remainder of the minutes rest. If you slack, you don't get any rest. You do that for 20 minutes and you will become a better person. There are literally a million ideas for conditioning. If you guys go to neversate.com, it's my website, there's a daily workout section that all the athletes from my gym follow, and I've been writing workouts on there for literally years. So every single one has something to do with conditioning. Just go there, pick out something that you like or something that you hate, and get it done. But now you can't say you don't know what to do. Conditioning can make a massive difference in how you look, how you perform, and what your life is like. If you're interested in powerlifting or strongman, conditioning makes a massive difference between the winner and the loser. You are never at 100% capacity when you're in a competition. Either you had a weight cut, or you're stressed, or the anxiety of the competition. You walk into your very first event already tired. And then every event after that, the only difference between those who perform well and those who do not is their level of conditioning. Yes, strength obviously plays a massive role, but you can be the strongest guy in the world, but if you're too tired to get up and perform, you're gonna lose. No one likes to lose. Plus, that's not how real life works. Mother Nature, acts of God, all those things happen at inopportune times. Real life is all about performance on demand. If you're walking down the street and someone puts a gun in your face, you're gonna be like, hold up, man. Just give me a second to warm up. Got a little tweak in my hamstring. I don't know that I'm ready to do this yet. Give me 10 minutes and then I'll punch you in the face. No! Train like a superhero. Batman doesn't need to roll out his IT band before he goes and fights crime. Maybe he does. I don't know. And finally, what I think is the most important reason to do conditioning is that it builds mental toughness. It sucks. It's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it, but it's not. Your mind is exactly like your body and you have the chance to strengthen it every single day. How many times in your life do you really get the chance to see what you're made of, where you're driven right up to the point of making a decision of either I'm going to quit or I'm going to push through this? The more that you do that, the stronger mentally you become. If you build up a habit of quitting when conditioning gets tough, When things really matter, I can guarantee you're gonna quit. Conversely, if you build up a habit of pushing through and finding new reservoirs and becoming a better person, that is going to bleed over into every area of your life. You're either ingraining good reps or bad reps. You're either ingraining quitting or persevering. And if you're not living on that sharp edge, just flirting with that line all the time, then you're probably taking up too much space. Every single person that's been successful in anything in their lives will tell you that everything costs something and you need to learn about sacrifice. Conditioning, hard conditioning, not going a little run with your buddy, will teach you that. It bleeds over into every area of your life, and if you get comfortable being uncomfortable, you can pretty much write your ticket. All right, guys, so that's it for me. Throw some conditioning in your workouts, become a better person, get mentally stronger, be awesome. I have to go work out, so thank you very much for watching. Go out and do something amazing with your lives. Run yourself right up into that decision, whether you want to quit or you want to persevere and make the right choice today. Everything starts with one step. Always be nice to each other, keep working hard, and I'll catch up with you later in the week.